in aortic surgery and be abreast with as much as you can. Thank you, Dr. Vijit. Thanks again. Now we have Dr. Suresh. He's one of our senior surgeons here at the Madras Medical Mission, and he would be talking to us about the left ventricle. Over to you, Dr. Suresh.
Good afternoon, everyone. In morphological anatomy of the LV, we briefly see the normal and abnormal and age-related changes. Morphological left ventricle is usually divided into three components: inlet, outlet, and the apical trabecular portion. Compared to the RV, LV is thick-walled and less trabeculated. This is a picture showing the LV papillary muscles. This is the echo picture of the same. Clinically, we are seeing the left ventricle shape is approximate to a cone with the right ventricle hugging around it. Since it is a cone, septal component of the left ventricle is curved. When viewed from the anterior aspect, most of the LV is hidden by the RV. Other than that, the LV outlet usually overlaps the inlet. The left ventricular free wall is thickest at the cardiac base levels. It's around 12 to 15 millimeter. It goes gradually thin towards the apex, even up to 1 millimeter at the level of apex. This is the diagram showing the cross section, longitudinal section of the portions of the inlet, outlet, and apical portions. Note the crisscross relationship of the RV and the LV outlet tracts. The other right side panel is showing the broad muscle bundles and the trabeculations. The lower one comparable to the post-chamber view of the echo of a dilated ventricle. We see the LV myocardium. Bulk of the LV myocardium is formed by contractile cardiac myocytes. Only a fractional volume of collagen is small. Usual adult cardiomyocyte is 120 nanometer long and 20 to 30 nanometer diameter. Each myocytes branches and adjoin with the adjacent myocytes, forming a complex three-dimensional network or syncytium of the anastomotic fibers. The extracellular matrix is usually divided by epimysial and perimysial and endomysial components. Each myocyte is surrounded by fibrocartilaginous connective tissue, which is providing supportive framework that called as endomysium. And group of myocytes are enveloped by the connective tissue known as perimysium. Any abnormal accumulation or change in the quality of the connective tissue increases the myocardial stiffness. This is the diagrammatic representation of this endomysial V1 studs and perimysial V1 studs of the coil fibers. The lower picture showing the anterior, frontal aspect of the heart, slightly rotated to show the more of LV, showing the superficial, oblique, and middle circumferential and deeper longitudinal fiber orientations. When we considering the ventricular myoarchitecture, two schools of thoughts. One is the discrete system of myocyte arrangement in each ventricle. The other school, single rope-like configuration encompass both ventricles. Actually, the layers represent only change in the orientation of the muscle fiber strands transmurally, not anything separating its cleavage. Superficial layer or oblique fiber forms around 25% of the wall thickness. The middle circumferential is the most thickest part. It is a form around 50 to 60% of the thickness. The deep myocardial is the thinnest one. Oblique fibers forms around 20% of the wall thickness. This is a diagram showing the fibril myoarchitecture of the left ventricle, two helical system and single rope system. The left panel showing the clockwise one, outer clockwise and inner counterclockwise helical system. The left side is showing the hawser kind of single consists of multiple ropes helically twisted around each other. This helical, this one structure is the form for the torsion motion of the LV. When we considering the collagen network of the heart, the collagen concentration of the RV is approximately 30% greater than the left ventricle because the myocytes are smaller in size comparable to the LV. The interstitium of the myocardium usually includes the fibrillar connective tissue, fibroblasts, plasma cells, and gel-like ground substance composed of glycosaminoglycans and the glycoproteins. The dominant components of fibril connective tissue is type 1 and type 2, type 3 collagens. Type 1 collagen is tensile strength usually equal to that of the steel. This is the cartoon representation for the same myocardial cells supported within the scaffold of connective tissue. This fibrous matrix consists of short studs fixing the myocyte to myocytes to the capillaries. Each myocyte will be wrapped by the fresh mesh of collagen. This matrix is giving the freedom of motion of myocytes in all three spatial coordinates. This is the actual electron microscopic image of the endomysial fibers or studs seen in myocardium. This is a diagrammatic representation of the endomysial fibrils inserting the Z band of myocytes. It is communicating with the intermediate filaments inside the cells. This is another electron microscopic picture. In unstretched muscle, these collagen fibers have a complex arrangement, whereas in the stretched muscle, they will arrange it parallel to the muscle fibers. This is the MRI image of interventricular twisting motion during the towards apex ejection. In the pathological condition, the collagen matrix remodeling occurs. Like pressure overload states, there will be increase in the collagen concentration. Both structural and biochemical remodeling occurs. Actually, myocyte and collagen compartments are under separate control, but they have also a common controls also. Myocardial collagen concentration usually 3 to 6-fold increases in the pressure overload status. Other than that, collagen degradation also increases, but that usually returns to normal quickly than the deposition. These increased dimension and the number of interfascial perimysial strands. This pattern is strict key fibrosis. It's representing the structural remodeling when usually occurs in the LV. The reactive fibrosis is the form in which there is no need for the myocyte necrosis. At later stage, when there is a cell loss, it will be replaced by the reparative fibrosis. When these are combined, both the diastolic and systolic LV dysfunction appears. This picture showing the normal and dilated cardiomyopathy. What is a change in the perimysial epicardial arrangement of the muscle fibers? There will be fiber slippage and wall thinning because of the disruption in the tethering. There's another diagram showing the normal elliptical shape is changing into the spear-shaped heart, and there is a loss of apex kind of due to the differentiation changes in the fiber orientation in case of cardiac failure and dilatations. And we finally see the changes related to the age. Usually intermolecular cross-linking of the collagen will be increased in the increasing age. That insoluble collagen levels will be increased in concentration. Within subendocardial deposition causes muscle stiffness. Because of that, myocytes loses its function, so unloaded myocytes becomes atrophic. This is the picture showing the young and aged myocardial changes. Myocyte loss due to the apoptic and necrotic pathways result in hypertrophy of the remaining myocytes and replacement fibrosis. This perivascular and the reactive fibrosis due to the deposition of the collagen. There will be post-translation modification of the collagen also, because enhanced cross-linking of the collagen. These are all shown in this picture. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Suresh. That was indeed a very good and very concise, and as well as a a very you were kind of showing us what we normally wouldn't see in the left ventricle. So we were quite happy that you could open our eyes to seeing things in the left ventricle that we normally don't see or normally don't even think about. So thank you so much. We thank you that you've been part of our team today. Now I'm going to show you two things. One is we have Dr. Shiva here, who is a leading pathologist in the city, and she would show you things that you normally don't see. And I will, at the end of her talk, I would also show you certain things which you normally don't see on table. Things to do with the base of heart. So we would show you a deatrialized specimen of the heart and the interrelationships of the valve. So that would follow the talk on things that you normally don't see, normally that you need a microscope to see. So over to Dr. Shiva, pathologist.
Good afternoon, everyone. Now we are going to zoom inside the heart and see the cells magnified from 100 to 1,000,000 times. So first, we are going to see the pericardium. So this is the horizontal cut section. You can see the visceral pericardium and the parietal pericardium and the space in between. The pericardium envelopes the heart. It's a fibrous structure lined by mesothelial cells and can have adipose tissue. The parietal pericardium is reflected off the ascending aorta, the pulmonary trunk, the terminal 2 to 4 centimeter of the superior vena cava, and the distal segment of the inferior vena cava and the pulmonary veins. It is inelastic and up to 50 ml of fluid can be present. But if there is more fluid accumulation and it is acutely stretched, it causes cardiac tamponade. Heterotopic tissues like thyroid and thymic elements can be present, and it should not be mistaken for metastasis. So this is a descriptive picture. So you can see the multiple layers of the heart. You can So this is the parietal pericardial layer lined by mesothelial cells, and there is a fibrous tissue, and this is the visceral pericardial layer over the myocardial cells, and this is the inner surface. So this is a light microscopic view. So of the pericardium, it is lined by mesothelial cells on the surface. This is a fibrous tissue and this is the adipose tissue. So this is a visceral pericardium, the layer of mesothelial cells beneath which there is adipocytes with nerve bundles and blood vessels. So this is a scanning electron microscopic view of the pericardium. So you can see the surface lining by mesothelial cells, and there are adipocytes in between, and these are the reticular supporting fibers. And here you can see the cross section of a coronary artery, and you can even see the inner elastic lamina very clearly. And so this is the endothelial lining of the coronary artery. So this is almost 1,000,000 times magnification of the adipocytes, and you can see in the inset you can see the coronary vein. So this is part of the blood vessel. You can see the lining endothelium. This is the cut surface of the myocardium. And this is the endocardium and the supporting reticular framework in between the myocardium and the endocardium. Coming to the myocardium. Myocardium consists of predominantly of cardiac muscle cells, which are 120 microns long and 20 to 30 microns in diameter in a normal adult. Each cell has one or two large nuclei occupying the central part of the cell. The cells are branched at the ends, and the branches of the adjacent cells are so tightly associated that their appearance under light microscopy is of a network of branching and anastomosing fibers. Cells are bound together by elaborate junctional complexes, the intercalated discs. So this is the view of the